Welcome back to another episode of Over the Glass. I am your host, Jay.
I'm Nessa. Welcome back.
We'd like to start off by thanking everyone again who has tuned into the show, has followed us on, whatever favorite platform you have, whether you're listening to us on audio only or checking out our YouTube page. We really appreciate all of your support because, again, we're here for everybody and we love hearing feedback. We love interacting with folks, and so it only helps to motivate us to keep going and to think of other things that we could bring up, engage with the fans along the way with all of the happenings with the Sharks right now, which, I'm honestly just ready for the season to get started. That's just where I'm at right now. Like, let's just get going.
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited for hockey. I'm still a little indifferent about the season itself because I don't know how it's going to go, but I'm a little more excited this week than I was last week.
So we did want to touch a little bit on the continued happenings with Hockey Canada. I did not get to listen to the formal proceedings that happened over the week. I did pick out a few things that stuck out to me. It's how quickly they settled to, essentially it feels like hush money for the girl who came forward with it, and they were questioned about, well, why did you do that without doing an investigation first? And the way that they answer that is not surprising to me. Like, they tried to make it seem like, oh, we did it for her. They were trying to just bury it.
Yeah, it seems more selfish than anything. Like, they're trying to put the blame on her when really it was to cover their ass.
And, they have this money, so they can do that. Yeah. And the fact that the CEO won't step down. Like, they feel like...
Again, accountability. They don't want to be held accountable.
Like, they're just in denial that they don't think that, like, they should have to...
face consequences?
Be accountable for how they handled things. Like, they feel like they handled it well, which obviously they didn't. And especially because they were also asked if things like this happen in the future, like, kind of what would be the course of action for players that are under investigation. And as we know, since this happened over 4 years ago, that those players, we don't know who they are, so at least 8 of them were to some extent allowed to continue playing.
Yeah, which also is that article you sent me about, what's his name, Ben Johnson? How he's playing for the Kansas City, whatever their name is, that the Seattle Kraken are now affiliated with. It's really interesting. He served his time, which is great. He was convicted for his crimes, but why is he allowed to go back and play hockey?
Just because he served his time doesn't mean that, and now we see fit that you have done what's necessary, and we don't need to consider that you would be a repeat offender or that you would be a risk to these young impressionable minds. Yeah, and not to make any assumptions about the Seattle Kraken and their organization and things like that, but I would be a little concerned if that were the Sharks, that we agree to this affiliation with an organization that has signed this person who has committed a crime like that.
Yeah, it would be interesting to see if the Kraken put out a statement or even acknowledge it in the near future. Because they're, I've been impressed with the way they've started out their organization in general, with a lot of diverse hirings in their office positions. What are they called? But I don't know. We'll see. On a lighter note.
So the David Quinn press conference happened this past Tuesday. It's
I wasn't mad about anything he said during it. Like, I wasn't, like, sure, passive aggressive. I don't know what the word I'm looking for. He seems like they're gonna try to win this season. They're not going for a tank. I'm not, like I said, I'm a little bit more hopeful after listening to the press conference and then the Warsofsky hiring, because that means that they're actually looking to build a stronger foundation, I guess, with the younger dudes coming into the league. I thought it was interesting to find out that McCarthy played for Quinn. And so
there's a number of folks that have played for him, specifically under when he was coaching for the for USA
Olympics.
Hockey.
Yeah. But I didn't know that McCarthy went to Boston, or if I did, I completely forgot. And so I thought that was interesting that as a coaching dynamic, they're going to have that connection. And so that'll be interesting to see if that'll benefit the Sharks somehow. But yeah, who was it? I know Bordelot played for him, and then Megna, was it?
I saw that Strauss-Mann played for him because he was part of the Olympic team this past Olympics.
So, I mean, it's good. They already know how he coaches. One of his quotes, kind of, is that... Oh, no, not even his. It was Greer who mentioned accountability is for everyone, which I actually really liked that he said, because they're going to hold everyone to the same standard and not just because you were in the league for so-and-so years, you get a shorter, or I guess a longer leash to do certain things. So, I am intrigued.
Well, I hope so. Again, like everything that they say in the press conference, it just feels like formality. Like I'm taking everything that they say kind of with a grain of salt, because we have this whole season upcoming where you get to kind of, put actions to your words, right? So I did like a lot of things that he said, but at the same time, like, all right. But
are you just telling us what we want to hear?
Yeah, like, you're a hockey dude. I've heard this a lot, especially during like the press, the media coverage after games. Like,
get the pucks in deep. When they're always like, "Yeah, we just need to get the pucks in deep. Play better on the forecheck."
Yeah, like I think especially during that time, that's kind of where that's another thing that helps for me to choose the guys that I like on our team, because before Ferraro it was Dan Boyle, and Dan Boyle did not hold back during media cover. He was not giving you the the scripted hockey talk. If we sucked, we sucked, and he's telling you we sucked. I mean, like, even Ferraro, like, I mean, he's got a little bit of hockey talk in there, but you could tell that he's very good with his words as well.
Yeah, he is. He's very well spoken. He surprised me the first time they interviewed him. Yeah. I was like, this kid, I think I like him.
Yeah. No, I had that same feeling too when he first, I was like, oh, we're going to put him on the camera. Are you sure he's ready? Like, he might be deer in headlights, but he was just very, like...
Very composed. Oh. Yeah.
Yeah.
Good for him. That's why he's wearing an A. I hope he keeps it.
I really don't know who else would get it. Like, we've got, like, half the roster is brand new. I mean, not to say that a new guy who's, been in the league for a while can't come in and, help, be part of the leadership.
Do you think they would keep 4 A's? If they keep, like, Couture as captain, and then keep Carlson, Mario, and... who's the other guy? Hurdle with the A.
I feel like the number of A's is kind of standard. Because
usually it's 2 and one captain.
Well, they alternate.
Right, but we have 4, and so with Burns gone, there's 3. Do you think they'll add a 4th one?
Sure. I don't see why not.
I'm just curious to know who'd get it. Benino?
Let's see. I did like what Greer had mentioned during the press conference about the direction of the Sharks. I think a lot of frustration over the last couple of seasons was added to the fact that we would not lean into any possibility that we were not in contention to make the playoffs. The fact that we were just continuing to be like, yep, we're good, nothing to see here, blah, blah. But the fact that he's like, I think they mentioned, because now he's got Quinn and like he's made these changes. Does that change what you said originally about the direction of the team? And he said, no, obviously like any team, you like even a team that is, clearly in a rebuild. Like, of course, if like, I don't feel like even at any level of the sport you play at, obviously it's great to win. You don't want to be like, come in and just be like, yep, can't wait to lose. Like, it's just, like why, like you wouldn't be motivated. It wouldn't be as fun to come in every day. It'd be depressing, really. Yeah. So, of course, they should get into the mindset of like, yeah, let's try to make the playoffs. Like, let's be realistic that I can't say confidently that we have all the, the pieces in place. But if we end up doing that, obviously that's amazing. But his perspective hasn't changed that, we may need to take that step back in order to go forward. So I like that that we're kind of in that spot where it's like, yes, we can say that we're not continuing.
Yeah, I did read Shang's article where he mentioned that the Sharks aren't going to try to tank this year and see where they can get with all of the new signings with everyone. Depending how this season goes, I think is going to determine whether or not they're going to tear everything down. Mm-hmm. So there's just another wait and see season.
Mm-hmm. And then Greer also stepped in during the question that came about. They were kind of trying to ask about Quinn's time with the Rangers and the criticism about him being, tough on the younger kids and and all that stuff. And he came in and he was very much like,
I've never heard that before.
Well, his tone, he was very firm in batting for this guy. And I think one of the things that was mentioned was, like he didn't, like the Rangers didn't get into the playoffs. They, they weren't as successful as they probably wanted to be, but given that was his first head coach position, it's not like, well, if you didn't make it the first time, you're doomed from there. And all the stuff that you're carrying into this team, like, there's no way you could have, like, adapted and learned from that. So I think I didn't mind that he stepped in and he was very adamant about kind of squashing all of the comparison speculation, because you really can't, like, it's an entirely different team, entirely different makeup. Like, the Eastern Conference is, in comparison to the West right now, is far more competitive. It's just all of like these little elements. You can't align everything and calculate that same outcome is going to happen with an entirely different group of guys with an entirely different spectrum of personalities. So And I think Greer, probably because he came in through the collegiate route. I mean, I'm not trying to compare like I know anything about, you know, the route of juniors versus the route of going through college. If anything, I can only speak from someone who has gone through college, like behaviors and attitudes that you pick up along the way by going through higher education versus if you didn't. And I feel like that kind of also plays into probably the way that they coach the student athletes. And I think Greer probably steps in because he believes so firmly that a coach who has that experience will be invaluable to the younger guys coming in. I was looking at how you had mentioned last episode about Adam Fox. And I was looking at his numbers, and then for whatever reason, I was like, maybe he can get Ferraro to be a Norris winner in his time. But that'd be a big dream, because Adam Fox, when you look at his numbers, that's kind of what he does. He's very much into the play. He's got a ton of points from assists versus Ferraro. Obviously, he's an impactful player, but his numbers are nowhere near Adam Fox's.
Yeah.
So I don't think that necessarily that would be obtainable, but it would be cool and great. It's just great to think about. Yeah.
Him, or even Merkley, or get freaking Carlson back to that kind of player, you know?
Yeah. I mean, Merkley and Carlson would probably be, if we're ranking the probability of like our defensemen, Merkley, I mean, granted, his defense still needs more work. So probably, you know, like how we've done with Burns in the past, probably pair him with somebody who's, you know, like I was listening to an interview that Jake Middleton was doing. I forget who, but it was already after we had traded him. Mm-hmm. And he was recalling his time, you know, being paired with Erik Karlsson, and how Middleton being a very humble guy, realizing that, you know, I'm not a star player. I'm very much the cookie cutter type defenseman, that I'm a hangback. I will help you out. I will cover defense, but I'm not jumping into the play. I'm not, you know, I'm making the initial pass, and then you guys go do your thing. And he, you know, and so when he was talking about his time being paired with Erik Karlsson, he's just like, I was fine giving him the puck. It's like, Here you go. I will cover your ass. So yeah, Merkley probably needs someone like that, you know, and that will help him. I mean, obviously he needs to clean up his defense as well. He can't just be like, you know, let me just go do my thing and not be concerned about that. But obviously it would be a good balance to pair him with somebody who's, because I mean, as you mentioned last episode, you were recalling how he was paired up with Vlasic.
Yeah.
Last season.
Vlasic is his defense. Mm-hmm. Like, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what to think. Like, I'm very hopeful, because all of the dudes that Greer has brought in are very much focused on defense. Like the two guys that they hired for the Barracuda, the two assistant coaches, and then I think Warsofsky is too. He's going to be assistant. He's going to be in charge of, is it the penalty kill or the PK?
The same thing.
And defense. Oh yeah. Sorry, the defense. I think the defense and the penalty. The penalty kill. Place. Whatever. I said penalty kill. PK. I meant I meant power play. Power play or PK. That's what I meant. My bad. Mm-hmm. He's in charge of one of those, but either way, it's going to be like...
It's the penalty kill. Mm-hmm.
Thank you. Don't judge me. I'm tired.
So yeah, now segueing over to... He's not officially the assistant coach, but it's more or less, unless they...
I'm pretty sure he's been hired. It just hasn't been like officially announced.
I feel like
Same thing
the
with Quinn.
wording that I've been seeing, I mean, again, until it comes officially from the Sharks.
Sharks to hire Ryan Warsofsky as assistant.
There you go. To hire.
Yeah. It's going to happen.
Versus
I'm stoked.
have hired.
It's going to happen.
Okay. Well, yeah, he's 34.
34 boys. That means fresh ideas.
I hope so. I think that's just kind of fun. I don't know. Like I think it's amusing to me that he's going to be younger than some of our vets, which
that's funny.
I mean, I've been in situations before where like folks who were in higher position.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. I just had a thought. Continue.
Oh, I was just going to mention that I feel like the dynamic would at least just be interesting because you've got this younger guy who is now like your boss.
Yeah. Well, but now I'm wondering if that's why they didn't hire him as head coach. Because they weren't sure how the dynamic would be with some of the veterans.
I don't know. What's his bucket from the Toronto Maple Leafs? Kyle Dubas. Isn't he pretty young? He's like...
Yeah, but he's not... I guess.
But he's in charge of the entire organization.
You're right. I don't know. I don't know what I'm saying.
He is 36.
Wow.
Yeah. So...
Wait, how old was he when he started? He was like...
The 2017-2018 season.
As GM. That was 5 years ago.
Yes.
He was 32. That's wild.
I mean...
Good for him.
Yeah. No, I think that's great. I think...
Can you imagine being a GM of a hockey team right now? Like...
No way. I would be... I mean, if I... I mean, it's not like they just picked him off the street and was like, you look like you could lead us into success. Like, he's obviously been working towards this. So I think if I had been working towards something like this and had, had those ambitions, it could happen, at 36. I don't feel like, you need to be an old hockey dude to lead an entire... I mean, if we take the comparison of like the geniuses that start tech companies, I mean, you don't need to be in your 50s to like, I've got an idea and blah blah blah. So
is that what tech guys sound like to you?
I don't know, but it's nice to see that we've got a younger generation being in positions where they can bring in that perspective, because as we've seen with, not to say that all older folks in the hockey world all think the same, but there's quite a lot of them, and they kind of... And I mean, it's even great, not to go off on a tangent, to talk about the Toronto Maple Leafs, but they're really hitting the younger generation with all of their, their social media presence, and then, the extra stuff that they're doing on the side to kind of like bring in, that personality that's been missing in this sport, that probably doesn't help it to become more popular, because if you just got the...
They did the collaboration with Justin Bieber for that jersey, like that's literally targeting the younger crowd.
Well, I think they get a lot of help because the Biebs is Canadian diehard hockey,
best friends
all
with
that
Austin
stuff. So they
Matthews.
definitely, it's not like they had to try very hard to get, I mean, and he's like Austin Matthews BFF. So we don't really have anything like that over here, but obviously they need to bring out more personality. And the Leafs have been doing a pretty good job of targeting that area that's so desperately needed, on top of, Canada hockey. It's not too far-fetched that people would be interested.
Speaking of jerseys, should we talk
what about the jersey?
I said, speaking of jerseys, should we talk about
right.
Marleau and number 12 being retired next year, next year, technically. Yeah. Mm-hmm. How do we feel about that? First one.
I mean, of course. He is Mr. Shark. It's unfortunate that he couldn't find success, or, the Sharks couldn't find success, during his time. But, he spent majority of his hockey career with the Sharks. He became a fan favorite. He's a man of few words, but has a lot of heart. I remember when he signed with the Leafs, and then he came back for that game, and
I was there at that game.
Yeah, I was too. It was emotional. Like, the dude is freaking, like, he could not contain how much, he spent so much of his life here. His family is here, I felt like when he did sign with the Leafs, like, of course, like, we can't, you've been here for how many seasons? Like, we're not, please go find your cup. Like, we're not going to get it before, but I can't imagine that decision is easy.
Yeah. Good for him. He's like dad shark. Ew. I don't like that word, daddy. I don't know why that came out of my mouth. Yeah, exciting for him. I don't think I've been a Sharks fan long enough to see how much, like, to actually, like, personally feel how much he meant to the franchise. Like, obviously he was important, like, second round draft pick that the Sharks were able to develop, and, like, he was a big impact player in his prime. And for him to, like, he was basically forced into retirement. He didn't want to retire, but, getting older, slowing down, he couldn't keep up with the pace of the game anymore. But it's cool that he gets to retire.
I think it was just time as well. I mean, you've got folks like Jaromir Jagr, who's, like, getting up there to, I think he's like 40. He's past the halfway mark in his 40s, but I mean, he's in Europe now. He's continuing to play, but you don't see that very often in the NHL. I mean, even now, the fact that Joe Thornton was playing last season and Zdeno Chara was playing last season, like, it's just, I mean, obviously they were playing a far more, a lesser role, so they're not, as you said, they just aren't able to keep up with the younger guys. Just it's just the reality. But I mean, he even continued to have such a invaluable impact, especially when he was with the Leafs. He gets a lot of praise from guys like Austin Matthews and Mitch Marner. I mean, they're basically like his,
adopted kids.
Yeah. So, I mean, even guys as talented as that, they kind of need someone like a Patrick Marleau to get them to refine certain areas of their game that, you just, you're just like, one part of it is the talent, another part is, how to harness it and how to look at other parts of your game. And I mean, especially because Patrick Marleau he was always praised for how well he kept in shape. Mm-hmm. How many games, I mean, was it, I can't recall, was it games played that he, mm-hmm. Yeah, like, you don't just get there by chance. Yeah. Like, there's a lot of attention to detail beyond just, I'm going to shoot 1 million pucks. Like, no, you need to take very good care of yourself. You need to be, I think I read or heard somewhere that in between periods, he would, like, go in one of the baths or something like that.
The ice baths, yeah.
Yeah. Like,
yeah.
I
could never.
Like, I can't even, like, wrap my head around that. I mean, generally speaking, I think it's gross the fact that they take off their gear.
And then put it back on, all the sweaty stuff.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Because, I mean, the closest that I have an experience to that is when I played in tournament games and we end up having, like, 2 games that day, or for some reason, like, we have an intermission and we're just kind of, like, hanging out. But the times where you don't have enough time to air out your gear to, like, have it dry out and you got to put it back, it is so, I'm like, why did I even take this off? I should have just, like, like, worn it it's just so gross. But I guess if you do it for so long, it's kind of, you just get used to it. But yeah, whenever they have them out for, like, the media interviews and they're, like,
dripping sweat and you can see, like, the heat radiating off their bodies. It's
just like, I embody it and I'm like, oh, like, it's just so. But anyways, so yeah, Patrick Marleau, first number to be retired by the Sharks. It just makes sense. He's Mr. Shark.
And then they're going to raise a banner for Doug Wilson, which is nice to recognize him.
Which also makes sense because he was the first captain of the Sharks. And then our GM.
19 years, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Crazy. Mm-hmm. So, some fun things, I guess, to look forward to this season.
Hopefully some wins, too, along the way.
Oh, I hope so.
All right, so let's move on to... We've got a couple of shout-outs and other little things that relate to hockey, but not necessarily with the Sharks. Nessa, if you want to start us off.
Yes, so there is a small business called Blackout Hockey Club. They're trying to grow their business, but more locally, because they do have followers and like, customers across the country, but not so much in San Jose. And I'm just trying to get the word out. They're really cool dudes, very small business. I have one of their hoodies here. I'm not sure if it'll be shown on camera. Blackout Hockey Club. If you're watching on YouTube, in the description or on Twitter, we'll post links. On Instagram, we will probably tag them and stuff, so it's easier for you to find them. But yeah, check them out. They have some cool gear. It's not necessarily like Sharks related, but they are Sharks fans because they are in San Jose. So, yep, cool dudes.
Sharks fans, local, small business, all about
all the
hockey.
Good stuff.
What's that?
I said all the good stuff.
Yes. I mean, what more do you need? Let's show them some love. They're local, and we're happy to give them a shout out and support them. Yeah. So another thing we wanted to talk about is that apparently this coming, let me get the exact, on August 6th, there's going to be a Pride Cup Ball Hockey Championship in Edmonton. So it's going to be at the downtown Edmonton's Ice District Plaza. And it is, in my opinion, the actual Battle of Alberta. It's going to be between two clubs, the Calgary Pioneers and the Edmonton Rage, that are LGBTQIA plus communities that just love hockey, just want, just like us, want to create a space where it's safe for folks within the community and, just help to grow the sport. Let's see. The Calgary Pioneers, their mission is to foster, grow, and promote an LGBTQ-focused hockey community with an emphasis on equality in sports at all levels. We thrive to demonstrate mutual respect for every team member and opponent in the locker room, on the ice, and in the community, ultimately promoting LGBTQ equality and being recognized as leaders in acceptance. This isn't the first Pride Cup, but I do know that this Pride Cup in particular is a partnership with the Edmonton Oilers and Pride Tape. So, okay. And then the Edmonton Rage, their mission, the Edmonton Rage was formed in July of 2019. Our mission statement is to provide a safe, inclusive space for ice hockey in the Edmonton area. We have a team and community focus on inclusivity in sports for LGBT plus athletes and allies. Whether you're playing for our team or just want to get out and skate and maybe shoot a puck around on the ice, we have a space for everyone. So
that's so cute.
Yeah. I'm so jealous. I wish I was local because this sounds like a wonderful time. I don't
Edmonton's too far for me. Otherwise, I'd go.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a bit of a trek. But so I was reading a little bit about how, outside of them being a partnership between the Oilers and Pride Tape, it looks like some of the representatives for Pride Tape had approached the Oilers about hosting a Pride event during the summer. And so the Oilers agreed to it. And I mean, I think that's wonderful. That's honestly, that's just the least I think that, the NHL teams can be doing. It's just offering a space and, allowing, their platform to be used to show, hey, we're supporting this. Come on out. Enjoy a good, Saturday afternoon. It's just, it's hockey. That's what we all love. It's a family-friendly event that, is free for admission. The space is limited, but, I mean, that's great. I wish I could to go something like that.
It'd be cool if the Sharks were able to do something similar with, like, the San Francisco earthquakes. Mm-hmm. Yeah. See, I don't know if any of the people listening to us are good at organizing things, but just gave you an idea. You're welcome.
Yeah. Nessa said it first. Trademark. And then I wanted to plug that in mid-August, for anybody that follows RuPaul's Drag Race, there is going to be a first ever drag race in the Philippines.
That's exciting.
Yes. So for those who aren't familiar with my background, I am half Filipino, half Chinese. So I watched the little preview that they had with all the Meet the Queens, and just, it warmed my heart just seeing, all this representation, queer, Filipinos living their best lives doing drag and having this opportunity to be on a much bigger stage. I have not been a long time follower of Drag Race. I I love drag. I've gone to, shows, in San Francisco and things like that. But the first time I heard about RuPaul's Drag Race is a friend of mine in 2010 had like tagged me in a post or something because she was watching the recent season and there is a drag queen called Jujubee. Do you know who Jujubee?
I think I've heard the name before.
So Jujubee is Filipino, and this friend was telling me that essentially Jujubee looks like how she thinks I would look if I looked more feminine.
That's hilarious.
And so I was just like, who is this Jujubee? Let me look up this person. And I think one episode they did like a challenge where I don't recall exactly how it went, but essentially it was Jujubee within drag and then the person who is Jujubee in their like out of drag. And it's hilarious because obviously outside of drag they more male presenting, so I'm just like, oh look, that looks like me. And essentially this person Jujubee would essentially be like how I would look if I dressed way more feminine. So it was just super hilarious. And but the first season I watched in its entirety was 2 seasons ago because one of my roommates at the time was a diehard Drag Race fan, like watches like the previous seasons like religiously, just all up in the Drag Race culture. And he had mentioned to me that there was a trans man competing, which is groundbreaking in that before then, I don't recall how long ago, but RuPaul wasn't exactly open to the idea of trans folks or like cisgender women competing in drag. I'm not going to try to paraphrase any quoting of that. And so that actually didn't really help for me to get into watching the show because obviously I fall in the middle and that's basically like alienating folks like myself. So, but he's since changed his tune, and so I thought it was really great that we've got so his name is Gottmik. I love Gottmik. He is so fun. Or in drag, she is so fun. So that was the first season that I watched in its entirety, and with Drag Race Philippines coming up, that's definitely one that I'm gonna be pop in front of the TV and watching every episode.
That's exciting. Yeah, that's cool. I wanted to do a plug as well. This is a shameless self-plug, so excuse me, but we're going to get back into Pride talk, but first I want to mention this. I am currently located in Vancouver for work. I am working on an animation show called Alice's Wonderland Bakery. It is literally for children. If you have kids, I recommend you watch it because it's super cute. They have diversified the cast. My very first episode I worked on is going to air on Disney Junior next Friday. So August 5th, I believe. And if you guys could watch and support, I'd be so happy. I don't, if you have access to cable or Hulu or whatever you watch, I don't know when it's going to be on Disney Plus, but it'll be up on there at some point. Yeah, I'm really excited. I'm nervous to watch it because I've improved a lot since then, but I'm also really excited. Aside from that, I am in Vancouver right now, and it is Pride weekend. This is why I have this up. I'm probably going to wear that tomorrow. I've been going to a lot of, no, not a lot. I went to one Pride event last night. It was Afro-queer based, and I just want to talk about that for a little bit because I personally have not been exposed to the queer community. I am very shy. I am a homebody. I don't like to leave the house very often. But recently I have been looking for a sense of community and doing so. Like, I'm out here by myself. My girlfriend is back in the Bay Area. Like, all my family's out in the Bay Area still. I'm trying to make friends, trying to look for that community, and it's Pride weekend, so my sibling is in town. They're taking me to, like, experience different things because they are very much involved with the queer community wherever they go. And so last night we went to this Afro-queer event, and I was sitting there. The music was so good. The environment was so, like, the atmosphere was just so loving and accepting, and I sat there and I almost wanted to cry. I was so emotional because it was just so beautiful. Everyone there was, like, so happy and so, like, I don't know, carefree and, like, caring of each other. Like, there were some people that walked by me to check up on me because I'm dealing with some anxiety things, and me just being at this place with like a crowd of people, and it wasn't even that crowded, but it was a crowd of people. I kind of felt out of my comfort zone a little bit, but I still wanted to be a part of it. And so some people would come up to me and check up on, like, are you okay? Do you want to dance? And this and that. I was like, I'm okay right now, but they weren't, like, pushy about it, and it was so nice. We're gonna go to another event tomorrow I'm really excited about, but I love our community.
Well, I'm so happy that you're finding that community in your area. I mean, I know a little bit about being away from home, and then especially if you haven't really gotten a chance to engage with the community in the past as much, especially when you're away from home, it definitely amplifies that feeling of, like, I need folks that not only to not feel alone, but also to be around folks that, you can be yourself around, and you can express how you feel and not be worried that they're not going to, that the moment they find out that you're part of the community, that they're like, oh, well, on that note, So, I mean, it's definitely going from having that space or having never had that space, and then trying to put yourself out there, especially when you're more of a homebody and you're more introverted. It's exhausting. So I'm really happy that you're doing that.
Me too. Thank you.
So we have our very first guest coming up on an upcoming episode. We're really excited. This is a Sharks fan. She's been a fan for a couple of years now. She's a ridiculously talented artist. She is based in Germany, but she is originally from Spain. You might know her. Her name is Elena, and she has done some incredible art that we can't wait to talk about, to share with you all, and just, have a good time sharing another Sharks fan, another queer Sharks fan with everybody. And just, we couldn't be more excited to have her as our very first guest.
We also have a few interviews coming up that we weren't really expecting to happen so soon, that we're really excited about, but we don't want to give too much away, so you guys can keep listening. Really excited about, like, all of these interviews that everyone reached out that they want to come onto this podcast, because they see what we're trying to do is, like, put a spotlight on LGBTQ fans, and just include people and just be ourselves, but hockey fans. I don't know. Yeah. I'm emotional still.
All right, so we're going to end the episode here because Nessa has to go out into the Vancouver world and meet all of the queers out there. So if we have anyone listening in from Vancouver, or if we can, get the network going within our community to reach out to folks that you might know who are in the Vancouver area, send them over to Nessa's way so she can get acquainted with everybody. So she can have new friends.
Come be my friend.
So
I need friends.
Thank you for listening to yet another episode of Over the Glass. I am your host, Jay.
I'm Nessa. Please don't forget to like, comment, subscribe on YouTube. So cliche to say, but it does help us get our channel out there.